Checkpoints is presented by pharmaceutical company GM Pharma.
Mr. Kenan, thank you for being with us and taking my questions. Let us start with the purpose of your visit in Tbilisi.
Thank you so much for inviting me here today. And this is my first time to Georgia, my first time to Tbilisi as Trade Commissioner for the region. And my primary aim here is to connect and support UK businesses and UK capabilities with Georgian businesses and capabilities here to grow both of our economies together positively and productively. So I was here specifically for a FinTech forum, which is the second one that we've held working in Georgia, the UK-Georgia FinTech gathering, which is a really important part of our economy and your economy, where we can grow together.
Are you satisfied with the trade numbers that you're looking between the UK and Georgia?
I mean, I'm really pleased because our trade has doubled in the past year between UK and Georgia. So it's just under £500 million now, but it's not actually about the numbers themselves. It's about the direction that they're going. So my trip here has really helped me understand that there are so many opportunities that we can work with Georgian businesses and the Georgian government here to really grow that trade relationship between UK exporters and Georgian importers, and then vice versa from UK importers and Georgian exporters.
So what are some of the sectors where you see that this potential lies? And I looked through your biography, did my homework there, and I saw that you have a vast experience in two very important directions that Georgia's economy has. That's the innovation on the one part and energy on the other. Do you see in those particular two sectors the potential of more cooperation between UK and Georgia?
100%. I mean, I think we've already got really strong relationships in areas like cars and food, but it's in energy that you can see a huge potential to kind of bring together, the journey that we're all going on in moving towards net zero to a kind of a low carbon or no carbon economy. And so really fascinating to meet with businesses here, but also government around their plans to transition and how we can work with the Georgian government and businesses around that. Equally on innovation, I mean, everything that we should be doing is looking to see how we can maximize profit and potential from all that we're doing in a whole range of sectors. And I think there's a great opportunity for Georgia to leapfrog when it comes to things like fintech and financial services. We, of course, have an amazing history in the UK around financial services. But seeing the ecosystem here and seeing the potential and seeing how you've got such creative founders here that are looking to go not just in this market and not just in Europe, but go global. So bringing together those innovators, those entrepreneurs and founders with UK capability, I think, shows that we can both work together and go truly global.
What could accelerate the pace of these relations, and where do you see currently the main challenges?
I think what accelerates it is the potential to bring people together. And so yesterday's event was a great example of that. But having open dialogue and being really aware of the offers and the potential that's here in Georgia, but also where there could be a corresponding capability in the UK as well. So I know that there's a massive focus here on rail and network and the middle corridor, and that really is an opportunity to connect with UK capability around transport, movement of goods, a whole range of areas where Georgia could innovate and be world leading in some of its new products and services.
So would you say that this whole buzz about the middle corridor and it gaining this momentum, is the middle corridor a bankable project for you?
I mean, I think the Middle Corridor addresses an issue that we're all really concerned about and interested in, which is around security of supply and security of supply chains. And all of us experienced those shocks that happened, not just with the war in Ukraine, but also with what happened with COVID as well, when all of a sudden supply chains were completely disruptive. So I think everybody is taking really seriously what you can do to bring in resilience into the movement of goods. And I think the Middle Corridor is a really compelling offer. And I think we're really interested in working closely with Georgia and other countries around what that could look like and how we could be part of that conversation in securing resilience and security of supply of products.
Do you see that uncertainty decreasing that was brought by COVID, and are we finally in post-COVID period? How would you say that?
I think so, and I think one of the things that's really worth remembering is that business and trade always finds a way, like love. It finds a way to move, and goods will always find ways
like
to move. Well, exactly. So I think the more that we can do to prepare ourselves for any future shocks that could be there, we simply don't know what's around the corner. So the more resilient and the more prepared we are, and the more connected we are to partners like Georgia for us is a hugely important partner and friend, and geopolitically a significant country. So for us, working closely with Georgia is an absolute no-brainer.
Was it easier to work with Georgia and have these relations with Georgia when UK was part of the EU?
I can honestly say,
what has changed since Brexit?
I mean, what's changed since Brexit is that we are now looking upwards and outwards beyond Europe in a really robust way. So since I've been in this role, and since we've left the European Union, we are taking forward really serious and exciting conversations with countries like Georgia, where we've put forward a new FTA, a free trade agreement, continuity rollover. We're continuing to have conversations with Georgia around how we can strengthen elements of that. I mean, our trade has grown, and the UK economy has grown as well since we've left the European Union. And I think financial services, which is what I'm here to talk about over the past couple of days here in Georgia, is a real example of that. That's an area that we had strength in, and we continue to have strength in, irrespective of us leaving the European Union.
Do you support Georgia's aspirations towards becoming a part of the European Union and the candidate status that it is striving for?
Absolutely support Georgia on that journey as well. We have left the European Union, but we have not left.
We cannot probably compare UK and Georgia in that, because challenges here in this part of the world, with Russia being the neighbor, of course, probably are really different.
I really don't know about the details of that particular issue, but we would support Georgia working closely with the European Union, because the European Union is also our friends and allies as well. Our key trading partners are in the European Union. And so we've left the European Union, we haven't left Europe, and we want countries like Georgia, who share many of our values and our approaches, to grow and be prosperous with that approach to openness, fairness, regulatory excellence that we've seen across many countries in the world.
What type of factor is Russia to the global economy, looking at these international sanctions? And would you say that these international sanctions, including Great Britain's sanctions, are working?
So the sanctions that we have implemented against Russia, against the war machine in Russia, and it's really driven by that horrendous invasion of Ukraine by Russia, which was totally unprovoked, I think have had an impact. And certainly the Russian government have said that they have made things much harder for them. So we will continue to support our sanctions regime and work with partners around the world to bring that to fruition. But having said that, we're all, the UK is still working with partners like Georgia, working with other countries to make sure that we provide resilience, that we look at supply chains, and that we make sure that we celebrate those countries that are open, fair, and democratic.
How do you see Georgia's action in the direction of international sanctions? And I'm asking you because of probably you were looking about this current events with National Bank of Georgia and then the IMF statement that they see the changed approach of NBG towards international sanctions. What is your overall impression of how Georgia is doing? Do you see Georgia as your ally in sanctioning Russia?
Absolutely. So we take sanctions really seriously. We also take our relationship with Georgia really seriously. So where there is a misunderstanding or a disagreement or a difference of approach, we will continue to have conversations with Georgia around that. Our ambition with the sanctions is to end the Russian war machine. It is not in any way, shape or form to impact on the prosperity and the growth of Georgia's economy.
We already mentioned Georgia's geopolitical location in terms of the middle corridor. At this point in time, and looking at the region, looking at the war in Ukraine, Nagorno-Karabakh, more broadly now looking at this horrendous war in Israel, I mean, how does this location work for Georgia's investment climate in general? What do investors see? Do they see more challenges or more opportunities?
So I think all of those things that you've outlined now are absolute tragedies and horrific, and the horrific incidences that we've seen in Israel as well, and how people have suffered, and also the shocks around what's happened in Nagorno-Karabakh as well. It adds to the weight that is on all of our responsibilities, and how we can support people and countries through such horrible and terrible times, including the horror that is the war and the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. And one of the ways in which we continue to that is to have that dialogue with countries like Georgia and the UK and make it clear and understood that there is importance to build trusted relationships with countries like Georgia, and that means practically businesses building trust with each other as well to go forward and develop those joint ventures together. So I think that all of the horrors that you've identified are real, but they should not prevent us working closely with a key friend and ally for mutual prosperity.
So for how long are you staying in Georgia? What are your first impressions of Tbilisi? Did you get to move around a little bit? And what are some of the expectations of coming days during this forum or conference?
So sadly, I have to go back to my base in Istanbul, where I'm the Consul General there, as well as the Trade Commissioner, on Sunday. My impressions of Georgia, the people of Georgia, the businesses here, the beauty of this city is second to none. I have been totally overwhelmed and overawed. And so over the next day, before I head back, I'm going to be exploring this city as much as I possibly can. I'm already a big fan of Hajjapuri. So I'm looking forward to coming back and seeing how the conversations that I've had and the team here have had who work in the embassy here on trade, economic growth and prosperity have actually delivered something tangible in moving our relationship closer together.
Maybe we can meet during that visit as well and sum up what were some of the tangible results that your first visit in Tbilisi has brought to the table. Thank you so much for taking my questions.
Thank you very much.
The Checkpoints is presented by pharmaceutical company GM Pharma.